Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki
Jai.
Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. For giving this opportunity to sing once again, all of us together, right in the powerful shrine of Bhagwan. Let's submit our grateful pranams at his lotus feet. We could have been very busy otherwise. There would be 100 reasons why we should not sing the name, why we could not sing the name. We have been seeing from time to time the devotees' experiences with Bhagwan, and by so doing, we have been reliving those experiences ourselves. They come alive, and we are right on. We have been reliving those experiences ourselves. They come alive, and we are right on the spot with Bhagwan. And we get drowned in his energy. Now, everybody knows Shri Ganesh Anna of Ramana Ashram. When he was the president of the ashram, it's a very difficult job to run an ashram with its multifarious activities. There would be problems, and sometimes very difficult ones. He used to go to Sannidhi Street House and be with Bhagwan whenever he felt it was all too much for him. In those times, so many incidents took place. He has recorded some of them. Now let's go with him to Arunachaleshwara Mandir. He and Anuradha Amma had entered the mandir, and just they were going inside, they heard the sweet voice of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, calling out, "Ganesha, Ganesha, Radha, come here." They were absolutely delighted, looked around, and they saw him seated in one of the steps of Brahmatheetam, the temple tank inside Arunachaleshwara Mandir. So immediately they ran there, were seated with him. In a few minutes, a sadhu was passing by, and his hand was a little twisted, and it must have been paining much because now and then he was wincing out of pain. Swami Yogi Ramsuratkumar saw him, immediately called out, "Swami!" That's the way the locals call the sadhus. Bhagwan said, "Swami, please come." That man came reluctantly. He was not impressed by Bhagwan's calling, and his face was drawn. He started to say, "Oh, why do you call me? What is it?" And with great love, Bhagwan looked at him and said, "What happened to your hand? It looks like this." "Oh yes, it's full of pain." And then that man got angry and began to say how the doctors could not treat him properly and how every time he went to somebody, it became only worse, and that he was in immense pain. Just see the compassion of Bhagwan. That man was not in the least impressed. He was totally uninterested. But then reluctantly he came, and Bhagwan was touching, stroking his hand a few times, and then said, Bhagwan, unmindful of that man's mood, that man's anger against him also, he just went ahead with his father's work. And then he said, Swami, shake your hand now. And then the sadhu shook it, and to his great delight and surprise, he found the pain gone. There was no pain for the very first time after so many years. He was able to shake his hand without pain. There was a delightful surprise on his face, and then immediately he prostrated before Bhagwan. Bhagwan put his hand into this deep pocket and pulled out some rupee notes and gave him, saying, you please buy some tiffin, buy something to eat and some tea. They were touched. Ganesh and Anuradha were deeply touched by the compassion. Another time, Swami was seated under the Bakul tree inside Arunachaleshwara Mandir, and these people happened to go there, and as soon as they saw Bhagwan, they went and sat near him. And then a couple came with a 1-year-old child, and they put the child at the feet of Bhagwan and said with folded hands, Swami, last time when we came here, we complained to you. The child was only a few months old and its foot was bent, little twisted. We were very, very, very depressed about it. And then we appealed to you to do something. And you said, you don't worry, the child will be all right soon. And Swami, now we do not even know which foot was that. He's become completely all right. And then they prostrated. Another time he says, a lady came from Coimbatore. She came with tears, approached Bhagwan and said, Swami, my daughter's marriage is getting delayed. I've been looking for a bridegroom for a few years now, and nothing would settle for her. Please bless her. Then he asked, what is the name of your daughter? She said, Kamala. And then Bhagwan became quiet and then said, Amma, your daughter will get married on February 7th. It was November or December at that time when this lady approached him, when Ganeshan was also seated. Shri Ganesh Anna was seated with Bhagwan at that time. Bhagwan said, February 7th would be her marriage day. Don't worry, my father's grace. She was very happy and she left. And then they did not hear from her for quite some time. It was only in April that she came, and she came in a hurry. She was so busy and she hurried to Swami, prostrated, and said, Swami, I'm going. Then Bhagwan said, last time you came, you were asking about your daughter's marriage. What happened? Did she get married? Oh yes, Swami. She got married on the same day that you mentioned, February 7th. And then she said, Swami, I came in a hurry. I went to Arunachaleshwara, prostrated before him. I thought I would come here and prostrate before you and go. I have to catch the bus. I'm going. Still, Swami gave her some fruits and sent her, and then turned to Ganesh Anna. He said, Ganesha, you see Ganesha, what is happening? This lady, how much she was worried when she came here last time, how she appealed to this beggar. And see, it's all done now by my father's grace. She didn't have the courtesy to come and tell this beggar. And now she's come and she's in a hurry and she's all bent upon running away to catch the bus. Just see. Should not this beggar know that this happened? And this beggar would like to thank his father for all his blessings. These people don't realize that. We should all remember that. Every time we pray to God, we pray to Bhagwan for something, and when that happens, we should at least remember to tell him and offer our gratitude, our grateful pranams. He does not need it. Bhagwan doesn't need anything at all from us, whereas we need everything from him. Our thanking him or not thanking him is not going to be of any use to him, but our thanking him will be useful to us. It means a certain spiritual growth. It will help our spiritual growth. This gratitude, this attitude of gratitude is very important. It invites plenty of grace. Now there's another scene. We see Shri Ganesh Anna seated with Bhagwan in Sannidhi Street House. When Gangu Mami had come, she had come to Ramana Ashram, a Ramana devotee. She had come to Ramana Ashram with her son Vivek. Vivek was going to start an advertising agency. She wanted blessings from Ramana Bhagwan. So after the puja was over at the Samadhi shrine of Ramana, she asked Ganesh Anna, please take us to the saint. We heard about one saint here, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Please take us to him. So Ganesh Anna brought them to Bhagwan at Sannidhi Street House. Gangu Mami started. Swamiji, my son here, Vivek, is starting his career. He wants to start an advertising agency. Please bless him. Amma, how many sisters he has? She said 2 or 3 the sisters' names and said, Swami, Vivek is starting advertising agency. Amma, what are the names of those sisters? He has a sister. What is her name? Kalyani Swami. How is Kalyani Amma? Swami, Vivek is starting an advertising agency. Please bless him. You tell me how Kalyani is. And then she started to cry. She burst out crying. She said, Swami, Kalyani is still with us. She is separated from her husband. Her in-laws treated her very badly. We tried to patch up those differences. But then it was not possible. They treated very badly, and we also got angry with them, and then we brought her back here. She's been living now with us. Then Bhagwan said, what have you done? She must live happily with her husband. You please go to her in-laws' place, apologize to them, and leave her there and come back. Yes, Swamiji, we will do that. Swamiji, Vivek is starting. Bhagwan said, you please go do that. Kalyani will be happy with her husband. So he was all the time asking about Kalyani while Gangu Mami was trying to tell him about Vivek. She did not even start. She did not tell him anything at all about his sisters, but Bhagwan knew everything about the family on his own. And he did what was needed then. It's not that he did not bless Vivek, he did, but more important was Kalyani's life. And so they immediately took Kalyani to her in-laws' place and left her there, apologizing. And Kalyani, soon after that, a few months after they came, they had the good news that Kalyani had become a mother. She had conceived. What compassion, what grace. And then Ganesh Anna goes on to describe another incident, a problem of his own. At the time of his being President of Ramanshram, there was a very bad problem coming up. He was very much affected by that. There was one machine, Shree Ram, they call it Shree Ram Press machine. It had to be sold in order to be free from the problem. But it was not selling. It was a great trouble for him. So he ran to Bhagwan, and he was very, very disturbed. Then Bhagwan said, there is one Janardhanan from Bangalore. He is running a press already. You please tell him that this beggar asked him to buy that machine. Janardhanan was already running a big press, which was flourishing. He had so many machines, sophisticated machines, and his business was running so well. Very expensive machines he had. He had no need at all for this small machine. He didn't have to buy at all. But the minute Janardhanan heard that Swami wanted him to buy it, he went ahead. His people were all dead against it. And many people said, what are you doing? Why do we need this? You are unnecessarily spending money. But she said, nothing doing, even if it's going to be in a room. Useless. It doesn't matter. My Swami wants me to do it and I will do it. I'll go ahead. So he paid a few 100,000 of rupees and bought the machine. And Ganesh Anna was very much relieved. And then Ganesh Anna goes on to say what happened after that. Of course, Shri Janardhanan didn't have any need for the machine. It was just kept there in the press. But there came a time there was some enmity developed between the Kannadigas and Tamils in Bangalore. With the result, there was a lot of violence. And they were setting fire to some of those Tamilians' assets. And one of the casualties was Janardhan's press. It was burning. Everything got burnt except this machine, Shree Ram Press machine. And the next few months, they had to set right so many things, rebuild. And the Shree Ram Press machine was very useful. Only that was earning them money. The family had to run for months on the income that Shree Ram Press brought. Just see how the grace works to the end. We do not know what is going to happen, how things would change, but the grace given by Bhagwan, it works till the end. Another scene that he describes, at one time Shri Janardhanan was in great trouble. He had the need for a loan of quite a huge amount. So he went to Chennai, was trying to arrange for a loan from some people, but those people said, you come to Bangalore and you have to give the assurance, the security, the surety. And then they mentioned a certain day, you come over to Bangalore. We have to arrange for these sureties. Unless you do that, we can't give you that. So Janardhan, before going to Bangalore, he came straight to Sannidhi Street House to Bhagwan. And then he described everything, how he was in need of this money very badly, how it was promised, but that now they were delaying, demanding sureties. And they had mentioned a certain day for him to come to Bangalore. He was going to Bangalore the very next day. But Bhagwan would not allow him to go to Bangalore. He said, Janardhan, you stay here with this beggar. So the whole day, Janardhan had to stay on with Bhagwan. And Bhagwan would send him out only to fetch something to eat or something to drink. Otherwise, he was inside with Bhagwan. 2 days passed. And the third day, afternoon, about 1 o'clock, Bhagwan, they had their lunch, and then Bhagwan started to talk to him. Even while talking, he was blessing. And then suddenly, Bhagwan said, Janardhan, now get up. 1, 2, 3, run to the gate. And when he reached the gate, Bhagwan asked, what is the time now? It was 1 o'clock and 23 minutes. 1:23. All right, now you can go to Bangalore. Go immediately, go to Bangalore. And when Janardhanan reached Bangalore, those people readily agreed to give him all the huge amount that he wanted without any surety. They did not demand anything. There was no conditions at all put forth. So the money was made available to him completely, purely by the grace of Bhagwan. How the obstacles, one after the other, moved away from the path, cleared. This happened several times, but this particular scene Shri Ganesh Anna has described. And then another scene, very interesting scene. The music director, Illayaraja, had come to Tiruvannamalai, and he was asking Ganesh Anna, let's go to see Swami. So they had come to Sannidhi Street House, and they were seated in that small veranda. Outside there was a large crowd. People were jostling, probably for the matinee idol. There was a huge crowd. And Bhagwan was talking to them, smoking all the way. And suddenly Bhagwan turned to the gate, and then he said, Ganesha, you see Nagamma there? Please go call her inside. Ganesh Anna was the president of Ramana Ashram, and Nagamma was the sweeper. She had some problem, she had come to see Bhagwan. Ganesh Anna, of course, president or not, he did not care one way or the other. He went immediately in all humility, obeying Bhagwan, and called Nagamma. Nagamma, come inside. And then he took her to Swami. Nagamma prostrated before Bhagwan. And then Bhagwan asked her to sit down, pointing to a place. She sat down next to Illayaraja. On the one side was Illayaraja, the other side Ganesh Anna. She was seated right in the middle. Now this scene, very strangely, reminded him of another scene. Shri Balram Reddy of Ramana Ashram, he was in Shri Aurobindo Ashram before. He was with Shri Aurobindo for quite some time, for quite some years. After that he came and settled down in Ramana Ashram. Shri Balram Reddy was telling Ganesh Anna once, when Ramana Maharishi, Ramana Bhagwan, was giving darshan in that meditation hall, one day Balram Reddy entered the hall and there was a strange sight. A king of one of those samsthans of North India, he had come and he was seated right in front of Ramana Bhagwan, and next to him was seated the retired sweeper of Ramana Ashram. And it struck Balram Reddy how it's possible, what a strange scene. A king is seated and next to him the sweeper, and both were seated comfortably in complete silence, peaceful. And it transported him to another time, the time of Ramayana. I believe in Ramayana it is said that in Rama's court everyone was equal. The great kings who visited him and the commoners were given the same attention from Rama, the same compassion, the same love, the same attention, the same hospitality. So Balram Reddy immediately said to Ganesh Anna, you see, these great souls come down to relive, to reenact those scenes, assuring us that it really happened. So now Ganesh Anna mentally relived all those experiences, because here was another reenactment of the scene that happened in Rama's court first and then in Ramana's court. Just one more incident that he recalled. Ganesh Anna was sent to Kashi by Swami. Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan asked him to go to Kashi and spend 1 year there. It was needed for his sadhana. So taking Bhagwan's command, he went all the way to Kashi, and he was given place to stay in J Krishnamurthy Foundation. It's a very beautiful place. I had been there. Very different from the rest of the Varanasi. Varanasi generally with very narrow lanes, very dirty, very congested. Whereas this J Krishnamurthy Foundation is totally different. Such beautiful gardens, comfortable cottages, and right on the banks of the Ganges. So Ganesh Anna happily lived in one of those cottages, spending his time on the banks of the Ganges. But Anuradha Amma had a huge worry. She was thinking Ganesh Anna was living there alone. Who would look after him? How is he? Ganesh Anna was not communicating to anybody, so she had no way to know how he was there. She was very worried. She came all the way to Swami and she kept silent all the time, praying inside for Ganesh Anna. A young couple entered the Sannidhi Street veranda. They were carrying a carrier of food. After they were seated, Bhagwan asked them. They were well known to Bhagwan. He knew their names, but deliberately he asked the man, he said Ganesha, and then his wife's name Ganga. And then Ganesha said, that young man said, Swami, Ganga is looking after me very well. Then Bhagwan said loudly, oh, Ganga is looking after Ganesha. Ganga is looking after Ganesha very well. And Anuradha knew in her heart, without her having to tell him, that she was answering her prayers, that Ganesh Anna was being looked after very well by Ganga Mata. Just see the way they enact these leelas. How delightful it is. Now this Bhagwan is here, right in front of us. There's one more story. I would shorten the whole thing. A Parsi couple had come to Ramana Ashram and they wanted to have darshan of Bhagwan. So Ganesh Anna took them there. When they were seated, Bhagwan was blessing them. He was Riya's Padamsi and his wife Beros. His wife Beros was in tears and she said, Swami, with folded hands, she appealed to him. She said, Swami, I already have 2 daughters, but I want a son. Not I exactly, but my mother-in-law, my in-laws. They're all pressing me, pressurizing me to have a son. But the doctors, after checking my body, said I should not conceive again. It would be dangerous to my life. Now I do not know what to do. Please bless me with a son. Then Bhagwan raised his hand and said, you will have a son. Do not worry. Father says you will have a son. Don't worry. Blessed her and sent her. After she went back, promptly, she conceived and then she let Ganesha to let him know that she had conceived. Very happily she said that. And Ganesh Anna rushed to Bhagwan conveying this news. Ganesh Anna rushed to Bhagwan conveying this news. And after 2 months, he got a phone call from her saying, she burst out crying that it was a miscarriage. Swami blessed me, but it's a miscarriage. Again Ganesh Anna went to Bhagwan. Bhagwan assured him, you don't worry, ask her not to worry. My father says she will have a son, not to worry. And then she conceived again. Again she happily phoned up to say that she had conceived. Now this time she was also afraid, insecure. The doctors were all very angry with her because they advised her not to conceive, and this has happened now. And so she said that she was under criticism now from all quarters. Only Swami should save her. But then again, strangely, 2 months after, she rang up to say that she had a miscarriage again. And she said, please, please go to Swami, ask him to bless me. Now if I conceive again, I do not know what would happen. They're all furious, the doctors. So Ganesh Anna went to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan said, he got angry this time, Bhagwan. What are you saying, Ganesh Anna? My father says she will have a son. She will be all right, her son will be all right. You go and tell her again. So Ganesh Anna went and told her again, and again she conceived. But he did not hear from her for a long time, for almost 1 year. There was no phone call at all from her. He did not even know whether she conceived a third time. But after 1 year, one day he got a call from her and she happily announced that she had a baby boy. Everything was well, the pregnancy was comfortable, and the boy is very good, in very good health, to the surprise of all those doctors. And she was thanking profusely Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, who is here right in front of us. Let us submit today's prayers to him, to his lotus feet. Bhagwan,